Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is the next encounter map for Hoard of the Dragon Queen in Chapter 8. Matter of fact, it's the second to last map for the entire campaign. Now, if you're running this campaign, this is not a map that's even in the book. If you've watched my campaign diaries, I've talked about how I edited 99% of the entire map, didn't want to do a dungeon crawl, didn't feel up to it, didn't really care for it, and I wanted things to be, lickety-split, fast-paced to keep up energy at the end of the campaign. So I opted out and decided to do just a few maps, 3 in total, the Wyvern Encounter, the Wyvern Encounter, Wyvern Assault on my channel, the Wyvern Landing Pad, and now the Iced Hallway, brilliant title, by the way, Iced Hallway, and then the last one, which is Wrath's Chambers, which will come after this. But as you can see here, I've approached it as I approach all my maps, putting out all my tokens that I want to use, and starting with the sketch. Let's put the sketch up real fast as I'm building back there. You see the sketch is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It took 30 seconds to do. I mean, it's a hallway, right? And I really wanted to have that natural curve in there, so both players, enemies and players could kind of back up if they needed to get out of range, and then come back up again. I used the ice spires again for cover, and also, kept that no man's land in between. And it was important to also space out from left wall to the right wall how many spaces or moves would it take to get across the hallway from left to right. So that was important. Also, what it takes to get from their point to the next point, counting all those things out. So they may end up, if they don't dash, they may end up in the middle of the no man's land, and the enemy could pepper them with all kinds of arrows. It's just things to think about when you're making your map. What is the max move your characters can do? What are the max move your enemy can do? And where will they end up on the board if they start from position A, B, whatever it is, right? Just things to think about. So, as you see here, I started the board. I actually put down a white line. I know this is a little ahead here, but I put down the white line there on the board just to get an idea of where I wanted to put things, to make sure I had those movement rates right. And then I started to put down these Heroescape Glaciers, which have been fantastic for all these maps. And I've used the volume scaler, stretch them out, make them big, make them small. Did not use variants. I used the same glacier over and over and over again. I didn't want to get persnickety and lost in the minutia of all that. It's just a hallway. So I just kind of used the same one over and over again and stretched it, flipped it, beeped it, bopped it, all that stuff to make it a little bit different. But now I've kind of gone in here and started using these. I think on the workshop, I don't know what they're called. They're not spires, because that's what I've called them. I think they're like, they're rocks or jewels or jewel clusters. I can't remember. You'll find them on the workshop if you go search for them. Highly recommend them for these kind of environments. And as you can see, I'm taking all these spires and I'm practically flattening them paper thin here and building up the sides of the wall. Now, there's a design aesthetic I wanted to keep here because it's all taking place in this icy, snowy castle. And so I needed to make sure it fit the design aesthetics of the Wyvern Assault. You kind of see that, you see the beginnings of all these ice spires and frost and snow and different things like that. When you hit the landing pad, you see a lot of that ice spires again, the reflections, the frozen ice and snow, blah, blah, blah. And then also into the hallway, I wanted to keep that motif going. So that's why, I'm still sticking to these like 2, maybe 3 models. I think sometimes, you can get a little lost in all this. You want to bring out 10, 15, 20, 30 different models. And sometimes, your map may call for that. But again, that's also getting kind of lost in too many details. And not that we don't like detailed maps, but you can get lost in that stuff, as I've always said. But it's just, you want to be careful with this kind of stuff. And I think I lost my train of thought. I'm going to keep going here. I just wanted to be careful. I just kept the same 2 models. Didn't want to make this a very complicated thing. So here I am. I'm building out the curves. A little tricky there on curves because, you can't warp the models, give them a concave or convex kind of feeling. They just have to be shrank and moved around. So you'll probably be using a lot of those if you do any kind of curves. But here again, I always see, now I'm there, boom, this is very fast, right? But I'm running through the hallway with the camera. It's very important to me, composition in a map, even though that doesn't quite speak to battle design, like how the characters are interacting with one another, but I like it when I can put the camera in the map and where I spin it and turn it, it still looks good, right? Because it's a visual, we're working with a visual medium, and I just feel like it should look cool when I'm in there, regardless of if it works for battles or not. I mean, I just want to make sure it does look cool. That's important to me when I've got that camera on first person perspective. And wandering through the hallway. So I continuously will run the camera through the map to make sure it looks good, right? And no one's probably thinking about that. Just me as a designer, it's just kind of things I'm thinking about. And plus, it makes it easy to go back and take shots of the map if you want to put them on a web page or your YouTube channel. It's ideal, to put in your Facebook page and things like that. You always can find these really cool shots. It's just a minor thing, really. But here I am now. I'm putting the spires, and of course I haven't shrank these. I kind of wanted to just have a few that had fallen over. And this castle's always changing, so they always have to go in and kind of knock these spires down because it's frozen, right? Now, here I am using these purple lights. I want to use these. I have brought them out in every single map, and I think the problem with them is they're too intense. You can't shrink them down or maybe drop the opacity of them, the volume of them, or anything like that. They're just so intense, and I just so want to use them. And I've taken them sometimes and put them way above the map, and it just doesn't work, unfortunately. And I like the lights. I don't want to use the lights. Okay, and here I am now putting the mist in. I think I'm messing with some lighting there. A little bit of pause there. Yep. If you might give somebody a seizure with this. Bloom, snow day. Okay, I'm stuck with snow day. How obvious. You see, I've been using gradients for my ambient recently. They seem to, for whatever reason, work really well with the snow and reflections. I don't know what that's about, but instead of just using background ambient, I've changed it to gradient, and it's working. Okay, so here I'm hiding the visual effects again. I'm either stuffing them in the walls, or I'm putting them in the floorboards, or into the table, or way up high. And I kind of approach this like a drama set piece. Where it looks good from left and right when you're walking through it, but on the back end is like the struts and everything. It's keeping everything up. I mean, when it goes to an overhead perspective, it kind of looks a little weird because I'm not using really hardly any of the table. But again, that's not the concern. We're not going to be playing outside of the hallway. But it just has a weird look when you don't use all the table. All right, so here I'm going into one of the, this is the one of random various models that I have. And this is a giant's castle. So I was trying to look for maybe some furniture, some urns or different things I could put in there and like really scale them up. At one point I wanted to do an entire battle map with giant scaled furniture, but I couldn't figure out a way of doing it that made sense. It's still a cool idea. Maybe at one point, if we ever fight giants, I'll find a way of doing that. But I thought that'd be kind of cool. The map is one giant room, literally giant. When the character tokens walk in, they're looking up a chair that's like 60 feet tall. I thought that'd be kind of cool at some point. So I've stuck the urns in there on the right there. Who knows? They were just something the giant put in there. And here I'm always testing tokens, right? I've noticed these spires do cause problems. So I'm shrinking them up, making them fit within those squares because they have those invisible walls around them and they can, stop things up and whatnot and make it very difficult for your tokens, which I learned from the Wyvern Assault map. Okay, looks like I was thinking about putting some snow tiles down, hexes and whatnot. And okay, now I'm placing all the tokens. So here's all the enemy cultists. They'll be going on one side of the map. And then, of course, the heroes I think I've already placed on the other side and getting things like the last visual effects down, the lighting and whatnot. All right, guys, this has only got a few more seconds. This is a quick build. Only took like an hour and 15 minutes. And I think we'll take a quick look at the final result here. I'll run the camera through maybe a minute or less here. And that'll be it. All right, let's do this. All right, everybody, this is the final build. As you can see here, here are the hero tokens at one end of the map. And as you look here, I have kind of, for, craps and giggles, I kind of put some more of these ice spires on the front, just in case as I was kind of opening up the map and I looked this way, you wouldn't see, all of this, the bags and just this weirdness over here. I just want to have, like, again, composition and just, the angles of the map and how things look, like the reflections here that the map creates. And I just wanted to make sure this kind of stuff area was blocked off. Again, kind of approaching it almost like a stage play. Anyway, as you can see here, tokens, and then I shrunk down the spires. This actually provided full cover if any player got behind them. Same with this one, but it had to be shrunk so they could actually move through here and here without, sometimes tab just does not work, without, getting stuck in the model. And I had some of these spires kind of, broken and falling over here. And then, of course, here are all the enemy tokens back here. This actually sits in this little square, but actually I think it's, if I remember right, it actually fills up 4 squares. So anybody who was behind here in these 2 spots would have had full cover. Again, didn't want tokens getting stuck. But here we are, and there's more spires back here, and put a couple more angled. And as you can see, here's the curve. So any of these guys on either side could have just, backed up and been out of range of everybody. And of course, here is the mist. There's actually an effect buried halfway up the wall, and then another one inside the table, just so you could look down the hallway, and see some atmosphere. And of course, I don't think my players even saw that when it was, because, we're moving pretty fast, but, I like it. And then, of course, I added in some steps. These are giant steps, right? I mean, if you look at a player, he has to go 5, 10, 15 feet of movement just to get up the stairs. And this is, of course, because giants live here. So I put these stairs in, these giant urns, and, of course, this huge door I put in on the back side. And, of course, more of this iced spires here flattened out just to make that back wall. But here it is, guys. And of course, out here I've got, as always, my tokens. So I don't have my the menu screen up, so you can't really see what they were. But if they were like hero tokens and spiritual tokens, and then, I don't know, something else, maybe some backup tokens for more enemies in case I thought the encounter was just a little too easy. Again, this backdrop here is from the workshop. You can find it. I think you just type in snow backdrop or something like that. But anyway, guys, this is it. Let's take a quick overhead. There you go. You can see just it followed my white line, which I deleted after I was done. I kept a little bit of it out here on the table so I could just actually grab that line and delete it. This background here on the table, I just went into Google and searched high resolution iced ice or snow, found it, and it works really, really great. The one I have for Wrath's room, which is next, worked really well. I love it. It's a great texture. You'll see it in the next map. But this is it. This is the flow of the map. This is how it started. And of course, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movements to get across the hallway, from left to right. And then quite a few. They would have to dash to get all the way up here to even start to engage the enemy. But okay, that's it, guys. I don't want to spend too much time on a hallway. But here it is. Atmosphere, set design, composition, of course the sketch, and just kind of bring it all to life. If you focus on all those things, I think it sounds like a lot, but it's not really a lot, and it'll really enhance your maps, and people will be impressed and have a great time. All right, guys, that's it. One more map to come in Hoard of the Dragon Queen, and this series for at least Hoard of the Dragon Queen will be finished until we hit Rise of Tiamat. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.